authentic, be accountable, be disciplined.
All right, so Rose Carr here today. Appreciate you coming. We were just talking about that we met a few years ago and started following each other online, and I got to see that you epitomize endurance and what you're doing, and always have something going on and grinding. And as soon as we started this podcast idea, I thought it'd be really fun to sit and talk with you, learn a little bit, the mental side of things, physical races you've done, and really what keeps you going on that path. Because it's, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you're the 0.001% of people that do stuff like that. We were talking on the way in here of this isn't a community, this area that has a lot of health and a lot of people that focus on things like that and getting uncomfortable. We talked a couple podcasts ago with another guest that was on here of why that is. I don't really know, but I've loved meeting people that have that path and journey and mindset. So I wanted to get you here today to talk a little bit about those types of things. So appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what, I guess, go all the way back of where exactly you're from. We've never really got to sit and have a conversation. We've raced against each other and been in the same races and things, but where are you from and kind of what's your journey from a young age on to bring you here today?
Okay. I grew up in Faulkner, New York,
Okay.
which is just outside of Jamestown,
Yep.
out in the middle of nowhere. I'm a farm girl.
Okay. What type of farm? What have you guys
Well,
have?
my grandparents had a beef farm,
Okay.
and they had horses, and I lived a half a mile down the road from them, so I spent a lot of time at the farm.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it was a good childhood.
Yeah, I had a friend in high school that was a dairy farmer, so I got to spend a little bit of time over there, and you see bumper stickers and people talk about farming and how critical it is, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's needed in this country. People don't understand that if there wasn't farming from an agricultural and a food perspective, it'd be tough.
Yes,
But,
it would.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, farm life growing up, and what got you into doing what you do today? When was kind of your first race, or when you decided I want to take on that challenge?
I've always been an athlete. I was a
Okay.
3-sport athlete in high school and a 2-sport athlete in college. I played softball. Softball is probably my first love.
Yeah.
I've been playing softball since I was probably 5.
Okay.
T-ball, way back in the
Yeah,
T-ball
yeah.
days. But I picked up basketball. Wasn't very good at it, but it was something to do over the winter
Yeah.
to keep me in shape for softball. And then my senior year of high school was the first year that my school had a girls soccer team.
Okay.
And the coach asked me to come out for the team and to be the goalie, which is funny because I'm 5'0", but I'm a softball player and I play catcher.
Yep.
All through high school and college, and he said it's pretty much the same concept. You just keep the ball in front of you.
Yeah.
So I played soccer my senior year of high school for the first time ever. Loved it so much I played 2 years of college ball too.
Okay.
So
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Jamestown Community College my
Okay.
first 2 years. Got a scholarship and a small softball scholarship to go there. And then I transferred to SUNY Fredonia to finish off my bachelor's degree.
Okay. Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah. So from playing in college sports, soccer's that's a lot of work. I played soccer way back in the day, and I remember that's a lot. And I have some nieces that play, and there's not a lot of sports with that constant going all the time. Although, like you said, you played goalie a lot.
Yeah.
There's still
Not a whole lot of running in my position,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
I actually hated running when I was in school, which is really funny considering what I do
What
now.
you do
But
now. Yeah.
yeah, so, but I kind of lost the opportunities to be in sports after I graduated from college.
Yeah.
I started my job as a teacher. I got married. I had my first child right away. And so I really didn't do much from college until my second son was born. He was around 3 when I started running. So it was around 2009 when I started running. And that was a weight loss journey. I gained quite a bit of weight from my second pregnancy and had some issues with postpartum depression and depression afterwards. And so I used fitness to get myself back on track.
That seems to be such a common thread, and I couldn't agree more. People that I've talked to and I've got to know found themselves in a place they weren't happy,
Yes.
and they weren't feeling good about themselves
Correct.
and things around them. And running and endurance sports in general has an amazing way of releasing that stress from you.
It sure does.
And I listened to a reel or someone speak a couple years ago, and they talked about if you push yourself really hard during a day, you just won't have time to sink, into that mental state. You're going to be tired. You're going to be thinking about that. The running high is real, in my opinion, where
Yes.
you're motivated to do it more. Although there's struggles with it, it's hard on your body sometimes. I've definitely found where out of all the sports that I do now, I'm pretty excited to go for a run.
Yeah.
Hard or not, it's exciting.
That's how I like to start my day. I'm a
Yeah.
morning person, so
Yeah.
I'll get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning so I can get in a run and a swim before I even go to work. So
Yeah, that's impressive. I see you doing that stuff. What time do you go to bed if you get up at 3:30? That's tough.
8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad thing. And I'm the same morning person through and through. I find it the best way to get it done. Starts the day well. I struggle with evening workouts. It's just hard. I want to get home from work, take care of my kids, and eat a nice dinner, and then I'm whooped. Like I struggle. Sunday nights I ride a lot because of just kids' schedule and everything. So I usually do a 5 o'clock bike ride from 5 to 7 on Sundays, but mornings, absolutely the way to go.
I found also that in the evenings, too many things have the chance to pop up.
It's true.
And then your workout gets pushed back. And then all of a sudden it's 8, 9 o'clock. And I don't like working out that late because I have a hard time coming down from my workout. And then
Yeah.
I have a hard time sleeping. So
Yeah.
morning is the way to go, though. Not many things come up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's a good point. I mean, if you get up and it's the first thing you're focused on,
Yeah.
yeah, there's not a lot that's going to distract you. You're, zeroed in on the goal at hand and the training session that you're going to do. And I like it. I have friends that do the opposite and they get it done. Mainly those are folks that are in the gym scene and just will go to the gym in the evening, not as much from the endurance perspective. But yeah, my dad was a morning runner, early riser.
Yeah.
So that kind of made sense right out the gates where I just got it done. And there truly hasn't been a workout that you finish and you regret it or you feel bad. Yeah, maybe some injury things happen, but it's always great to get it done. Yeah, first
I
thing.
always give myself the 15-minute rule. If I don't feel like doing something, I'll say to myself, I'll just do it for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel it after 15 minutes, if I'm not feeling it, I give my permission to stop.
Yeah.
Give myself permission to stop. And almost always I keep going.
Yeah.
'Cause after 15 minutes, you're all warmed up.
You're
you
in
feel
it.
great.
Yeah. I was texting with a friend of mine. I had a rough swim on Tuesday morning. And it was a pool swim and was just struggling. And it was the first swim in the last year that I cut short. And I texted him and I'm like, because he knew the swim workout was coming. And we were talking about the workout itself. I said, man, I cut it short, 400 yards short. And I felt super guilty. I felt terrible. I think when you get so into it, man, you're hard on yourself if you don't
Yes.
do it. Felt really bad. He pushed on me of like, give yourself a little bit of grace. And then every once in a while, maybe that's not a bad thing because then you realize how you feel when you do miss something and you don't want to have that feeling again.
Right.
So I hadn't missed anything in a while and I didn't finish that workout. It was tough, but then I did try to think about it from that lens of, hey, I don't like how that made me feel. I already was going to text my coach and say, can I do the same workout next week? Because I want to knock it out of the park. I mean, it was just a tough one and I wanted to do it. So I'll get redemption on it. But yeah, it's not a good feeling when you're that into it to not get it done. You get kind of addicted to it. I would imagine
Very
you have a
much so.
similar feeling with how much you do. And we'll get into that you have probably called an addiction for
It's an obsession.
obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty healthy
100%.
obsession. There's a lot worse things people
I have a very addictive personality. Why
Yeah.
not be addicted to the things that are good for me?
Yep, I hear you. We've
So-
talked about that a lot. If I had to line it out, I'm glad I'm somewhat addicted and obsessed with what I'm doing rather than other things. Because it's, there's some toll on your body and things that we'll probably deal with when we're 50 and 60 and 70 years old. But the good outweighs it. We talked last episode with a girl of kind of the theory of maybe it's hard, but it's a lot harder to get out of shape and heavy when you're older, and it's a lot harder when you have diabetes, and it's a lot harder when you're it's hard now, but it's probably good hard, to take on and do it. So we were talking about your, getting out of college. You had a little break in what you were doing. 2009, you started running a little bit. Was that just running for fun, or did you try to sign up for a race?
No, that was all just trying to lose weight and get back
Weight
into
driven.
shape.
Yeah.
I did most of my running in 2009 on the treadmill.
Okay.
I was embarrassed. I didn't want to go outside and run. I was afraid people were going to make fun of me, which is weird because I'm the type of person who normally doesn't care what other people think. But it was just, I think starting any kind of journey like that, people tend to be a little self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
I know many people are afraid to go and work out in a gym because they're worried about people, oh, look at that person. They don't know what they're doing. And that very well may be true, but I just think that it can be very hard to start out a journey like that.
Definitely.
Especially if you don't have somebody to kind of lead you or walk beside you as you're taking that journey. So
yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of self-discipline if you don't have those people that are pushing you. And we talk about self-discipline a lot. I think that's the root of all of it. Mm-hmm. To be able to every day know, I'm going to do this, it's going to get done, and we're going to be on to the next day. Right. That takes a tremendous amount of discipline to do. So you started on a treadmill. I do a fair bit of treadmill running. I don't hate it. Some people hate it.
I don't either.
I don't hate it. It's a controlled environment. I can set my speed that I'm doing. I can set some elevation if I need it. And I think people need to realize there's no shame in treadmill running.
No.
I think some people, like you said, are uncomfortable and nervous, don't want to start because they're slow or they don't like how they look or their form. Treadmill running definitely, I think, is pretty key. Yeah, I think it's pretty great. What's the longest you've run on a treadmill?
20 miles. I did a 20-mile training run on the treadmill because I was training for a February race. I believe it was Myrtle Beach. The Myrtle Beach Marathon, which when I ran it, it was in February. And we had a really bad snowstorm. And so I had to get my 20-mile run in before the race. It was, I want to say it was the end of January. And I think the race was in the middle of February. And so, well...
Treadmill it is.
Treadmill it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to go outside when it's, when we're getting dumped on.
Yeah.
With the snow.
Because where you are, you deal with that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
A lot.
Yes.
I'm friends with some people that don't have that barrier that we have with our weather. They don't get it. They can train all the time. Even south in Pittsburgh, they don't have what we have. And I'm like, you don't understand. We got a foot of snow last night. It's really hard to get out there and do it effectively. And it's tough. And we have to have such a long off season of biking, unless you Zwift ride in the basement, which I do a lot of that too. But it's definitely tough with the weather we have to get going. It reminds me of a funny story. We did a little bit ago, 3 friends and I did the 4x4x48, David Goggins.
It was on my to-do list for this year.
Okay, yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
I definitely do it. I know you will. But it kind of came up on a whim. He normally was doing it in the spring, so we're like, okay, like last weekend of March around here, we should be cooler. I don't want to do it in the heat.
Right.
I want to do it in cooler weather. So we decided last weekend of March, and it was a blizzard the second 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like we're cruising through, we went through every weather that we had. We had sunshine, rain, warm, windy, and then at the end, the last overnight, my buddy Dan stayed at my house for the duration of it, and then our other friend Megan was here in Erie. We're about 20 minutes apart, and we got up and we're like, oh my God, like it is a downpour of snow, just dumping buckets, and we're like, how are we gonna do this? Like this is really hard. So we ended up going downtown Edinburgh, which is where I live, and we went down there, and all the roads had been plowed, and people were plowing them. So we had to take the plunge to get in the truck and drive. Pretty exhausted. Don't really advise getting behind a wheel in the middle of that journey. But we said, this is going to be worth it going downtown. It's only 2 miles. So we cruised downtown. We park on the side of the road. And it was funny. So we were doing, I think it was 10 p.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever it may be, something along those lines every 4 hours. So we had our 10 p.m. we did downtown. and 2 p.m. It was also St. Patrick's Day party
Oh,
weekend.
jeez.
So it was hilarious because we have down jackets, headlamps.
Yeah.
We're running through downtown Edinburgh, which is a college town.
Mm-hmm.
All these drunk kids coming out of the bar, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, they were so confused. The cops came, so we had the police pulled up to us, and it's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, hey, we're just raising money. We're doing this challenge. We ended up raising $8,000
That's awesome.
for a good cause.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of people to donate, and they were like, okay, right on, like, keep going. But it was really funny because we planned it for the best weather we thought we could have. It was the worst snowstorm of the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up running 12 of the miles in a blizzard. It was pretty brutal. People don't get that. I like colder running though.
Me
I don't
too.
know about
Oh,
you.
winter is my favorite time to run.
My dad always, Cleveland Marathon was his favorite because it's in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes training in the winter. I prefer 45 to 55 is a great running temperature that I enjoy. Any colder than that, I don't really enjoy the freezing eyelids and all that jazz, but I've done it. But I definitely don't like summer running. Heat
Summer
acclimation
running
is
is
tough.
tough. I do a lot of treadmill running in the summer.
Yep. Just so you can
Because
still get the mileage.
unless I have a race in the summer that I absolutely need to train for and
Yeah.
get used to the heat, but
Yeah, putting a couple fans on, my basement's probably 65,
Mhm.
fans blowing on you, it's pretty comfortable.
yeah,
Some people despise the inside workouts, but like we said, I don't mind it.
it's a good tool to
Yeah,
have.
good controlled environment.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into that of the racing you do. I think is absolutely amazing. So you started running with like a weight loss journey.
Yeah,
What was the
in
first
2009.
race that you tried to
Well,
do?
that wasn't until 2010.
Okay.
Until fall of 2010. I think it's good if you can find somebody to help you on the journey, and I found somebody. I had
Okay.
a friend of mine who asked me about my running journey because I'd been running on the treadmill, and I told her I kind of pushed running off to the side. I was still lifting at the gym and stuff like that, but she said, well, why aren't you running anymore? And I said, I just got bored being on the treadmill all the time. She said,
Yeah.
you've got to get outside. You have to
Yeah.
run outside. It's so much better. So then we started running together, and I would say probably late summer of 2010.
Yep.
And we got ourselves up to 10 miles, and she said, you know, we should run a race. There's a half marathon in a couple of weeks. Let's do that. And so I signed up for it. Almost didn't because I was terrified that people would look at me and think, oh, what is she doing here? You know, she doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
But then, of course, when you actually go to a race and experience it, it's like, oh, this is for everybody.
Yeah,
There's
it
room
really
for
is.
everybody in the running community. So I ran my first half marathon in October of 2010.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought when I crossed the finish line was, wow, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I thought of was I should have done the full.
Yeah.
Because I could do more. So I went home and signed up for my first marathon.
That day. There you go. That's really cool. That hits a lot of points I think that are important. That you had a friend that pushed you and
Yes.
kept you going.
Yes.
I think that's great. We always talk about the people you surround yourself with. If you hang out with 5 of these type of people, you'll be the 6th.
Yes.
I firmly believe that. Your friend
Yes.
circle, and if you hang out with motivated, accountable people, you're just going to keep that level of motivation up and
Agreed.
discipline up. And I think that's great. And I think that's where people struggle is breaking away from their friend group to say they don't run. You know,
Yeah.
we go out and party, we do whatever, and I'd like to do it, but I need someone to help me kind of kickstart it. That's good that you.
I like to be that person
Yep.
for people. I like to bring people in. I'll get little groups started. You know, sometimes they don't always last, but that's okay. I'll start a new group. I've got a group that starts, we've been running every Tuesday and Thursday, and then some of us swim afterwards. So,
Yep.
but the group grows, you know, and then
Yeah.
I get new people who are just starting out on their journey in running, and I just love being that person to encourage them and help them along because I know I, for one, appreciated that. I don't think I would be running today if it hadn't been for my friend Pam to
Yeah.
get me, to keep me going. So
Yeah, that's great. I can relate to that. I have 6 or 7 people I talk to on a pretty
Mhm.
frequent basis about keeping them going and running and some of the things I've learned. I'm so far from an expert in the field, but I do know how valuable it is to your life and your mind
do
and
you give them a
everything.
disclaimer too?
Yeah.
I always give them a
Yeah.
disclaimer, just so you know, running is a really slippery slope.
Yeah, absolutely.
One second you're doing a 5K, the next thing you know, you're signing up for a marathon.
Yep.
It happens
It's
pretty
addicting.
fast.
And most have really done it. My cousin did the Pittsburgh half for the first time this year, and she instantly was like, I gotta do another.
Yeah.
I gotta do another. And she's doing the Niagara Falls half this October. So yeah, it's definitely addicting. So you started with the running journey, and
Yes.
that's great. What got you evolved into triathlon or some of the other sports? Do you have a background in any swimming or biking?
I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't start tries until I think 2020
Really?
was when I ran my first try. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure it was 2020.
You had about 10, did you stay running the whole time?
Yeah.
2010 until 2020?
Yes.
That was part of your life?
Yeah. 2010 was my first race, October 2010. I ran my first marathon, which was the Buffalo Marathon in May of 2011. My goal, I like to set New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I'm a big goal person. I like to set big goals and then go out and get them. But my New Year's resolution for 2011 was to run a marathon in every state. And I made this resolution never having run a marathon before, so I didn't know if I could do it once, much less 50 times.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that one.
Okay, how many states have you done?
I have 27 states done.
You've run a marathon in 27
27
states.
different states, yes.
Very
and then
cool.
state 28 will be in October.
That is
doing
really
Maine.
Cool. Yeah, Maine.
Maine.
Awesome,
Yeah.
beautiful area up in Maine.
Yes.
Wow, so you set that goal and you're knocking it down and you will get it. I
Yes.
know you that you're going to do
Yep.
it, and that's great. Do you have a goal on what the 50th will be? Like what is kind of you're going to end on?
I think a lot of it depends on my schedule. I'm a teacher, so sometimes it's hard to get to the races that are farther away during the school year. And during the summer, it's not a problem, but I really want to run the Mayor's Marathon in Alaska, but that one's in June. And June is a tough month for teachers. I know New York schools tend to go until the end of June, so it's hard to...
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah. So that might take a while before I get to the Alaska one.
Yeah.
That's probably the one state I'm looking most forward to.
It's an awesome state. Have you ever been?
Yeah, I've never been there. So the farthest west I've ever been is Missoula, Montana.
Okay. I was there. I flew in there and did some hunting. And
beautiful area. Oh my gosh.
I always called it like a mini Alaska. Montana is very similar on a smaller scale. Alaska is just a monstrous place.
Yes.
We flew in there, flew into Anchorage, and when you can drive 18 hours in the same state, you know it's a big son of a bitch.
Yes.
And we ended up going all the way up through the Arctic Circle, all the way, like 40 miles south of the Arctic Ocean, and ended up doing a caribou hunt up there.
That's awesome.
And it was really wild. Cool experience. Haven't been back. I'd love to do an Alaska cruise or something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. You're going there for a marathon.
Yes.
My cousin had just texted me about, there's like a vacationraces.com or something like that has a lot of really unique travel races, and it intrigues me. I mean, when I did my first race was Lake Wilhelm half marathon. And
I've done that one a few times.
Yep, 3 years ago, I think it was. And hometown, and then I did some other hometown stuff, and then I started to branch out and really was like, man, this is cool to travel and make it like a mini trip.
Mm-hmm.
You see a new state, you see new scenery, and do a race while you're there.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. I have Michigan, 70.3 Michigan in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and then doing 70.3 in Florida in December.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty excited. Again, 2 new places I've never been to, do a race while I'm there. My kids love to come to races and cheer and be involved with races, and they're going to come down to Florida and make it a little family vacation down there.
That's exciting.
Yeah, the traveling is a cool part of it. So how many are you doing in it? Like, you're trying to knock out how many marathons in a year from a state perspective?
When I first started, it was pretty easy because I had all the ones around New York State that I knocked out pretty quickly. But now, to get to a different state, it takes a little bit more planning and time and money. So
you've knocked out a lot of East Coast and up and down and around.
Yep.
Everything Maine you're doing this year. You've done New Hampshire, Vermont?
I have.
Okay.
Both of them. I did the Manchester City Marathon for New Hampshire.
Okay.
And I did the Mad Marathon for Vermont. I've done that one twice.
Okay.
So I have a couple of friends who travel with me, and they're doing the states too, but I have more states than they do, so
Repeat.
I have to repeat. Which
You
is
can't.
okay.
You're not
It's
going to say
fine.
no
It's
to the
okay.
race.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
it's all right.
How many marathons have you done?
63.
63 marathons.
I had to look that up this morning.
Okay, I'm glad you did. That's an amazing number.
I bet she's going to ask me that. So I couldn't remember if it was 63 or 64, so I had to look.
63 marathons.
Yeah,
I don't
63
think
marathons, yep.
people can grasp how challenging that is. That's amazing.
It's interesting.
In how many years now?
Since 2011. Mm-hmm.
So, wow.
I usually average between 6 and 7 marathons a year, although a few years I've done 11 or 12 or 13. It depends.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, 13 marathons in a year. That's crazy. And like you said, we live in an area where we have a race season.
We do.
So it's not like you're doing it 12 months out of the year.
Right.
There isn't December marathons too close to here.
Correct.
It just doesn't happen that way. Wow. Amazing. Have you ever, knock on wood, but had like a DNF or where you struggled with an injury?
I did. Yep, I did. 2 years ago, I did. Was it 2 years ago or 3? I can't remember. 2 years ago. It was in the summer of 2022. I pulled my hamstring playing softball.
Gotcha.
And it was a couple of weeks before my Nebraska race. So we drove over there, and I'm not going to drive 16 hours to not at least try.
Yeah.
So I got about 3 miles in and got a ride back to the start. It just wasn't happening. Yeah. So unfortunately, we had to go back the next summer and knock out Nebraska. But I threw, because I traveled with 2 other people, and since they had already did Nebraska, I said, let's do a 2 marathon trip. So we'll go hit South Dakota because they didn't have South Dakota. And then we'll hit Nebraska the next weekend. So
back to back.
Yeah.
Which is also extremely hard. Yes. Marathons in a week.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the most that's pretty intense, 2 marathons in a week. Have you done that more than once?
I have. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
Okay. Never 3 though?
I've never done 3 in a week. No.
That's wild. Most people train for 1 for the year.
Yeah.
And you're doing 2 in 1 week.
I'm not fast though.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I was doing a 2 or 3, a 2.5, 3 hour marathon, that'd be one thing. But
you're doing it. You get to the end result the same.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that too, of people doing it and getting out there and doing it. Speed, we're not all out to make the Olympic team.
Yeah.
There's people that are naturally really fast. We joke around. I mean, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. Not really built like some of the guys I know that are fast. Mm-hmm. There's a podiatrist locally that my dad's friends with. He was on some track teams and did college running and long distance running. And I was talking to him last weekend about it, and he's run a ton of marathons. I asked him what his fastest 10K for his cross country team was back when he was in college, and I think he said he ran it in like a 450 mile or something. But he's 150 pounds.
Yeah.
And, he's built more like a runner, so they can go a little faster. But the fact that you do it is amazing. So when did you said you in 2020 evolved into the swimming and biking?
Yeah, well, I had been providing kayak support for the Southern Tier Triathlon Club every Monday and Wednesday. And I'm watching these people swim, and I can't swim at this point. I did not know how to swim. And I'm watching these people do these swims and then go out on their bikes on Wednesdays afterwards. And I'm like, man, that just looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want in, So at the end of every school year, I buy myself something as sort of a gift to myself, if you will, of making it through another school year. And so I bought myself a wetsuit that year.
Okay.
Like, well, now I have to do it because I have a wetsuit. And I'm not going to waste that. So started swimming, and then I got a bike. And swimming was really hard for me. I really struggled with the swimming. I had a bad experience in a pool when I was a kid, and I just really didn't like swimming after that. So didn't like being in the water, so
Most don't.
I would go into Cassadaga Lake, and if you know anything about Cassadaga Lake, it's a pretty nice lake. I mean, it's calm for the most part, but I would have panic attacks. I go out and swim a few hundred yards and then just have a panic attack, and just like, I'm done. Go back in.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to swim freestyle either. It was all backstroke mostly and breaststroke, just trying to get it done. But I really enjoyed the cycling. So it wasn't until I want to say February of 2023 when I said to myself, this is enough. It's enough. I wanted to be a better swimmer. The only way to get there is to just do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I work at a school where we have a great pool. We have a nice pool. We've got lap swim times early in the morning from 6 to 7:30. And I thought, what is holding me back from going for a swim before work?
Yeah.
And then I shower there, I'm there. I'm at work. So
just
what am I doing?
Yeah.
I should be utilizing this. And so I started swimming every morning, Monday through Friday. And then the next thing I know, I'm swimming 45 minutes to an hour every morning.
Wow.
And getting in, over 2,000 yards every day. So.
Yeah, that adds up. I think out of anything, swimming is so foreign to so many. We're not water creatures by nature. And it was hard for me. We've talked about that a bunch. And anyone I talk to, I'd say 9 out of 10 say, I'd love to do a triathlon, but I'm scared to swim.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with the swim. And I think that's really impressive that you faced that and said, because you had legitimate reasons to be scared. Like you said, you had a bad experience and had panic attacks, and you still overcome it. And I see, you swim all the time,
A lot of it was in my head.
Yeah.
A lot of it was all in my head. I think we hold ourselves back more than anybody else holding us back.
Definitely.
It's just that story you tell yourself. I knew I was struggling at something, and I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get better is if I just go out and do it over and over and over again to the point where it becomes old hat.
Yeah.
And I had complete control over that.
But yeah, the swimming, I've had the same fear and panic and really challenging with dark water, and it's really hard. But the odds, I'm an odds guy, so I'm like, the odds of some fish wanting to take a bite out of me is basically zero.
Yes.
But it's a mind thing, and to get going and just do it is exactly what you need to do.
What got me through it was thinking, every time I get into my car, the odds of me getting into a car accident are way higher than something happening to me in the water.
Definitely.
So that helped.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I said, it's the story you tell yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of it is mental toughness.
Yeah.
Being able to push through something that's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I thrive off of those things. So.
Yeah. And you evolved that.
Yes.
You evolved that mindset to thrive off of it. You didn't, I think, that's how I feel too, naturally people shy away from change and they shy away from uncomfortable, and we've created a pretty soft culture. And I think that's really hard for people to take on and do. Yeah, that's tough.
I think I actively seek out being uncomfortable at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's a challenge and I enjoy it. So.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So you started on these tries. Have you ever done any sanctioned Ironman events?
I have not.
No, nothing sanctioned with them.
I've thought about it, but it's a lot of quid to pop down on one race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just about every full Ironman that I can think of is around $1,000 for the entry fee, and that's just the entry fee, and then you got all of the other logistics to think about as far as staying somewhere for the weekend, and it's just really expensive.
It is, for sure. From a triathlon standpoint, you've done Cassadaga Man up there in New York?
I've done Cassadaga Man 3 times.
That's equivalent to a half Ironman, right? That's the same.
Yes, it's the same distance.
Yep, done that 3 times.
I've done that 3 times, and then I did the Onondaga Man this June.
Nice. What about, you've dabbled in the ultra space, haven't you?
Yeah. So yes.
You enjoy that trail or road?
I'm a terrible trail runner.
Okay.
I don't lift my feet up very high, so tripping and falling is a very real problem for me. So.
Big deal. So, but you've done it. What's the longest you've run in, I guess, a race or just yourself?
I've done 4 100 milers.
4 100-mile
Yes.
races.
Yes.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's fun.
Yeah. That has
It's a lot of fun.
100 miles.
It's more up here than anything else.
Yeah.
It's more in your head. Mental toughness is an absolute requirement for something of that distance.
Definitely.
You can really easily talk yourself out of it.
Of just throwing the towel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To go from a weight loss journey where you ran 10 miles and you were really pumped about it to 4 100-mile races is absolutely amazing. What years was the 100-mile stretches?
My first 100-miler was in 2019. My second was in 2021. No. 2019 I know was my first one.
Yeah, but from 19 till now is when you've done the 100-mile races.
Yep, and then I did my fourth one this March.
Wow. Where was your one? Do you stay local for that? Or
no, I go to West Virginia. There's a race in West Virginia that I really enjoy called Conquer the Wall.
Conquer the Wall.
Yes, it's a 2-mile loop, and you just loop, 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 loop.
Really?
It's really a lot of fun.
2-mile loop.
A 2-mile loop, yep, for, yeah.
A long time.
A long time,
yeah. Sunrises and sunsets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. The loop race idea is pretty interesting. Have you done Oil Creek?
I have not, but I have done Run Between the Suns, which is in that area.
Okay. Yeah, the Oil Creek races, they have a 25, 50,
yeah.
100K, and 100-miler.
Yeah.
It's loop-based trail. It's really pretty amazing out there. The loop idea is pretty cool, and that's one of the things that we're going to try to do. I think it's kind of like the Last Man Standing race.
Yes.
The Last Man Standing Ultra, I think would be really cool to hold and host and direct one of those. Where, for people that don't know, basically you have a 4-mile loop track and
you got an hour to do the loop.
You have an hour to do the loop. If you get done in 35 minutes, you have time to break.
Yep.
If you get done in 55, you have 5 minutes.
Right.
If you can't finish the loop and get back going, you're out, and you basically run until
there's the
last person standing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting. I think around here it would be a slow start. People would be like, this is crazy. What are you doing? But then I think as time goes on, if we had one of those, there's a lot of pretty good runners in the area where they're going to say, I can beat that. I can do that.
I think it would be fun to do something like that.
Yeah, we have that in the works a little bit. We've made
That's
some calls to some places, and I think it will come together. Like I mentioned when we were walking in, we're going to host a sprint triathlon. I'm pretty excited about that. That'll come out to the public here in a few months and be able to have people sign up. It's a great entry-level way to test the waters and try it out, as well as people that just need a little tune-up before maybe an Olympic or some other distance. So, yeah. Was the first try you did a sprint?
Yes, I did the Southern Tier Triathlon Club sprint.
Yeah.
So that was my first triathlon. It was a lot of fun.
So back on the 100-milers, because that's fascinating to me. Talk about, what did you eat during
everything,
100 miles?
Anything I wanted.
Yeah,
it's weird.
So many times.
Things get weird when you get up into those distances. You get into this 70-mile, 80-mile distance, and then you just find yourself wanting the weirdest things, like an Oreo cookie with some pepperoni on top. I mean, it's just wild. But I would always just eat whatever my body wanted is what I put in it. So
you just need so much fuel.
Yeah.
Do you wear a hydration vest when you do stuff like that?
If I'm doing a loop, like a 2-mile loop now.
Oh, yeah.
There's no need to.
You have an aid station set up.
You have an aid station set up, and there's really no need to carry.
Is that what you want, a self-supported race where you have like a friend there with your gear?
No. They have an aid station. Yeah, they have a big, huge aid station at the start finish of the loop. So you can go in and grab a bite to eat, come back out.
Keep going.
Yeah, you can rent a cot for the weekend. So if you want to go and take a rest, you can do that. Yeah. So. Do you?
That's obviously on your goal path. Do you have a distance goal or anything more than 100?
I've done. Actually, one of my 100-milers was actually 102.5. So that's the most I've ever done in one race. I was hoping to beat that this March and to set a distance record for myself, but I ended up hurting my foot at mile 93. It was so dumb.
Really?
It was just so dumb. The course was a little flooded out, and they had this raised rock bed I was on top of the raised rock bed. I was coming down off of the raised rock bed, and you kind of lose feeling in your lower extremities when you've done that much mileage.
Yeah.
But I stepped wrong coming off of the thing, and I twisted my ankle a little bit, so really kind of hurt my foot. And the last 7 miles that was
Pretty uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There was a little. I'm not gonna lie, I shed some tears.
Yeah.
Those last 7 miles because my foot was hurting pretty bad, but
Yeah.
I was not going without 100. So.
Yeah, when you're at 93, that'll push
Yeah.
you through some things.
And then I tried to the year before that I tried to go over 100 as well, but I ended up having a gallbladder attack that I've never had before. And in the first hour of that race.
Wow.
And a little while later I had my gallbladder removed, so that was fun. Stupid.
Yeah, that held you back a little from.
A little bit. I've had some bad luck in that race
Yeah.
the last 2 years, but it's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Did you see this year? I think it was this year that the gal was the first female finisher of what's it called again out in the Barkley Marathon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Impressive.
I watched
Did you
her
watch
come
it?
across the finish line. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty impressive. If you're not familiar with that race, there's a great YouTube documentary. It's called The Barkley Marathons, the race that eats her young.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's some crazy stuff right there. People
Yeah.
say I'm crazy, but I think people who do races like that are even crazier than me. So
Yeah, that is pretty wild. I was introduced to it and I've watched those documentaries.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy cow, this is nuts. The Leadville race.
Yes.
You know, they just had that recently. There were some people that I follow online that did the Leadville 100.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty amazing. A lot of elevation gain. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a whole different world out
Yes.
there doing that. So, when you're doing a 100-mile run, I've never done it. Can't claim to know shit about it. But how you got to be talking to yourself the whole time and hitting places where, like you said, wanting to quit.
Yeah.
It's not roses and sunshine out there running 100
No,
miles.
it's not. I would say after mile 60, it's pretty rough. But
Yeah.
again, a lot of it is just how badly do you want it, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, how comfortable are you being outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah.
So, for people like me, I enjoy that. I enjoy pushing my limits. I want to see how far I can go.
Yeah.
For somebody who seeks that, the ultras are perfect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was a lady, it might have been, I don't think it was the winner of the Barkley Marathons, but another female ultra runner who's amazing, and she talked about patiently waiting for the painful time to come.
Yes.
And she welcomed it. And
Yes.
like, I know when I get to this level, I can beat it.
Yes.
I can do it. It's like her place that she strives to go to. And that is so rare. And
yes. And it's so satisfying at the same time. It's weird. I guess it's really hard to explain. It's something you kind of have to experience on your own, but it's one of those things where when you reach that point where you just want to quit and then you don't, I don't know, you catch a second or third or fourth or 20th wind.
Yep.
However many winds you had, and then you
Yes,
just
yeah.
feel great for a few miles, and then it goes back to feeling crappy
Back to
again.
the pain.
And you
Yeah.
just know if I push through this, I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah.
It might take a few miles, but I'll feel better.
Yeah.
And then you do, and it's weird. It's
Yeah.
so bizarre.
You are proof in the pudding of putting your mind to something and doing something and changing your entire life. Mindset, everything that is possible. Because I think
Yes.
people are so intimidated by it, like we said, that's why I was so excited to talk to you about you did it. You're an example of to go from a 10-mile run to 4 100-mile races.
Mm-hmm.
That's up there. I don't know what percent of the population has done a 100-mile race, let alone 4 of them.
Well, the thing is, too, if you can do something like that, you can do just about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of self-confidence that a person can gain from putting themselves through an ordeal like that, everything else is so easy to deal with. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a great way to look at it. Once you felt that much discomfort, the little things are not quite as bad.
Exactly.
You've overcome them. Wow. Are you doing one next year? The same one?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're just going.
As soon as they opened up registration, I was signing up.
Awesome. And it's the same one you've done 4 times?
Yes.
The Virginia,
Mhm.
West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Talk of the wall. So
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
The race director's one of my favorites. He's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, great. That's important with the race. You like a good venue. If you
Yeah.
like it, obviously you're a repeat customer, willing
Yeah.
to put yourself in pain again.
I have a whole crew coming with me this next year.
Running it.
Yes.
People that you know.
Yep.
That you've just kind of helped along the journey.
Come on, let's do this race. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, fun. Something like that. What, you train a ton. You train every day?
Every day. Oh yeah. If I don't do something, whether it's swim, bike, run, or lift, I feel off. I feel sick
Yeah.
sometimes. I just recently got over a nasty ear infection. I get really bad allergies, and my allergies have been terrible this season. But my ears don't drain very well, and I get ear infections. And I just got over one, and it was just so awful because my balance was off.
Yeah.
Everything just felt weird, and I just wasn't really feeling well. And I go and get on the treadmill to do a mile, at least a mile. I just got to get a mile in, And my husband's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my gallbladder removed the next day. I'm doing a mile on the treadmill,
Yeah.
I need to move my body. So.
Yeah. Your therapy and like you
Yeah.
said, a bit of an obsession with it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hate it when I get sick. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, it's usually pretty bad.
Yeah.
So a brick wall of an immune system, if it's something bad that breaks through that brick wall, it's...
Yeah. Yeah, the few times I've gotten sick through training, and like I said, I've only been doing this a couple of years, but I tended to go towards the lifting side of things.
Yeah.
I just felt that was easier to accomplish when I wasn't feeling well, because I'm the same. I want to do something. So going down and getting a lift in and still feeling a little bit accomplished is definitely what I like to try to do.
And that's why I enjoy doing the triathlons now, because, if I go out and do a hard run and then I'm sore, well, the next day I can go hard on the bike, or I can go hard on the swim.
Absolutely.
So it gives me a good variety of things that I can do, different ways I can move my body to get that sense of accomplishment, that good feel going.
Yep. Those good vibes.
Yeah.
So you've done some ultras, running races, triathlons. Have you done any like swimming events and things like that?
I haven't, but I set a goal. I decided that I was going to do 24 hard things in 2024.
Okay.
And one of them was to swim the perimeter of all 3 Casadega lakes, which is
so
just a little over 5 miles.
Okay.
And I did it,
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Last month?
A few weeks ago, yeah.
So, cool. Love the goal mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really great. I think that's something people can definitely learn from and try to do. Small goals, big goals, because you have some that are wild. 50 marathons in 50 states. That's crazy. But you'll get it. And when you do get a goal, it's a great feeling.
It is.
Like I said, the first triathlon I did was a sprint, and then I signed up for an Olympic a couple months later, and that was my big goal of I want to try to do an Olympic distance triathlon. Mm-hmm. And looking back, proud of my accomplishment, but there's a lot more that you can do than that.
Right.
But it was setting the goal, hitting the goal. I did it with a good friend of mine. We've shared a journey together, and it was a really good feeling, hitting goals and doing it. That's this distance swimming. That's a lot. I was watching in the Olympics when they had I forget marathon swimming or distance swimming, whatever it was, and it was amazing. Those guys going with the turnover that they had, their hand speed, and going for that long. It's wild. Clearly good technique, good form, because it's tough. I've struggled with it, still do. I struggle with swimming almost every time I go, but I'm just trying to get a little bit better each time. Yeah. So you train every day. Do you have any other hobbies that you zero in on? You're a reader.
I love to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a challenge, a goal with reading going on right now.
I do. 100 books this year.
100 books.
Yeah.
Between training and reading, that's a lot of your free time.
Training, reading, yep.
Teaching.
This might be surprising, but I also like to crochet. Isn't that funny?
All right. Right on.
Yeah, I like to do crafty things. My mother's a very crafty woman. So
okay.
Picked up.
So the reading, you're how many books in?
I believe I'm in number 58 right now, 57 or 58. I'm a little behind because I got involved in a few series that are gigantic books.
Yeah.
You know, each one's like 700, 800, 900 pages long. So
Okay. Yeah, that's big.
so that's kind of slowed me down a little bit, getting through some of those. It's totally worth it, but so I'll have some reading to do
Yeah.
before December.
What genre of books do you like to read?
I like everything. I'm an
Okay.
English teacher, so you know,
Yeah.
just about anything. I find that the older I get, the more I like nonfiction.
Okay.
But I've been involved in a few fantasy series lately, so
Yeah.
reading through those. But I do like a lot of nonfiction. I like to read about running.
Yeah.
All the time.
Have you read Born to Run?
I have.
Sweet book.
As a matter of fact,
Really
that's
sweet book.
that book played a huge pivotal moment in my life.
Yeah.
Actually, I was training for my third marathon. I had some significant knee issues my first and second marathons, and to discover that I was a terrible heel striker. And so I was trying to find ways where I could change my stride a little bit so that I wasn't heel striking so badly, because I knew that's where my knee pain was coming from. And I figured, oh, let's go minimalist, because you really don't want to heel strike when you're wearing minimalist shoes.
Yeah. So you switched to that.
I switched to
you ever
minimalist.
barefoot run?
I don't, because I cannot, no, too much of a germaphobe to do something like
Okay.
that. But I do like to wear
Zero drop,
minimalist shoes. Yes.
Oh, that's
Yep.
what you run in now. That's
That
your
is
thing.
what I run in.
Really? And you think that, so you were heel striking, going minimalist, because that's what they talk about in the book of barefoot
Mhm.
running. A lot of it's based off, we're born to run.
Yes.
You know, we are a species that is meant to run. I was
Right.
just telling a friend, I think it's amazing. I'm pretty sure that book is when they talk about that you could chase down a deer
Yeah.
and a wild animal.
Yeah.
That they're built to sprint. We're
Yes.
built for distance running, human
We are.
beings. And if we can keep something like a 740 mile going over a consistent period of time, they tested it out in Africa on some gazelle species of some sort, and where they would run and look back and run and look back, and you just keep steady. They run, look back,
Yes.
you keep, and then you could take one down with your hands.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But it's true.
It is true.
And a lot of them, they talk about that minimalist running, barefoot running. You naturally get more soft on your feet, I believe,
Yes.
and you're just listening to your body a little bit more.
Yep.
It's interesting. I've never tried it. I think it would be pretty cool to try, because I've had some knee issues, mainly IT band and a little bit of runner's knee, you know, under the kneecap, where it's just really jarring.
Mhm.
I may have some heel strike issues too, but wow, that's interesting. So
I will say that that minimalist running probably isn't for everyone, but for me, for sure, it
yeah,
cleared up everything for me.
Wow.
I haven't had any issues since.
that's awesome.
So I
Very
actually ran my third marathon in minimalist shoes, and I've run every marathon since then in minimalist, including my 100 milers, all minimalist.
Wow. Probably pretty rare, right? Don't people use higher cushion in distance?
No. My
Yeah.
friend Carrie does the same thing.
No.
She wears the same kind of shoes I do. So
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Notice we shifted from books back to them very fast there.
it's easy to do.
But I wanted to bring that up because I think that's really cool that you set the book goal. Do you feel that your reading ties to your endurance? That there's like, you have a mind, does it help calm you? Is it part of, are they aligned at all, or is it just like a totally separate passion? Do you ever feel alignment with them of, hey, I got to work out, the same needs of, hey, I got to read, the same drive, or you just really enjoy reading?
I just really enjoy reading. I always have since I was a kid, but it's sort of like a mind break for me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really
With
hard.
reading.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of ADD, or just my mind
Mhm.
wanders. I read pages where I'm like, I didn't zero in on that page.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me. My sister, I don't know if you're aware, is an author, so I'll plug her briefly, but Jen Craven, and she is on her, I think, 5th novel.
Okay.
She started, so I have reading in my family. Like, she's was a professor and left teaching to write full time.
Mm-hmm.
So she's currently raising kids and writing. That's what she does, and she does amazing at it. So I've had an insight of that world of writing, reading some of her books before they come out, and when she's in the proofreading stage, and it's pretty impressive. I'm amazed with authors in general that they have that creative mind to be able to write something.
Yeah.
Her books are just continuing, in my opinion, to get better. I plan on reading every one of them. Hers is a lot of like women's fiction based.
Okay.
She likes that space.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, her first one was, well, it was also female based about my Aunt Jean. It was really about my family's story. My aunt had polio from a young age, my great aunt, and back in the 50s, I mean, it was basically a death sentence.
Right.
You have no life,
Mm-hmm.
you do whatever. She lived probably close to 90, I don't recall exactly, and had an amazing career for the government, taught herself how to drive, all single, never, had children or anything like that, and just had an amazing life. And it was just so flipped on its head of the polio diagnosis from back then. So my sister wrote a book about her and just the woman's empowerment of you can do a lot of great things, and it was a pretty cool book. So if you ever want to check her stuff out, she writes some good stuff and has more coming. I saw your book journey. So
Definitely look her up.
yeah, I'll send you a link on her
Please
stuff
do.
and you can check it out. Do you have all your books like lined up, or you pick randomly?
If I didn't buy another book for the rest of my life, I think I'd be set.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have so many books. It's ridiculous.
It's a great hobby or passion, whatever you call it. I struggle with it, but I would love to be better at it. Mm-hmm. I would love to do it. I think it's so good for the mind. I also prefer nonfiction, and I love to learn things, and not necessarily self-growth type of books. I've read some good ones in that space, but just fascinating stories of that people did things. Rich Roll's book.
Right.
I don't know if you've read Rich Roll's book. He did an Ironman on each Hawaiian island.
No, I did not.
Each day.
I've not read that. I would love to.
All on a vegan diet.
Okay.
And it was really cool. He was basically told, you can't be a full Ironman to this level on a vegan diet. He was getting a lot of heat. And he ended up planning this out with a buddy. And they went out there, and he bounced each Hawaiian island, did an Ironman, and they were talking to me, what did you eat? And he's like, a lot of avocado sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like a lot of avocados.
That's awesome, though.
But that's a good book. Books like that where I can look at people that I feel a connection to, that they're everything we're talking about today. They have some discipline, they have drive, they have motivation. I enjoy seeing other people doing it. It just kind of kicks you into the next gear where you're like, oh, if he did that, I can do this.
Right.
And Cameron Haynes' book, I think, is a great book. Again, he's an ultra runner. The David Goggins books, I think they're all pretty interesting, just what someone can put themselves through. So those are the types of books I read. There's one I was thinking about on the way here because I knew we would talk briefly about books. Hidden Valley Road. Have you ever heard of Hidden Valley Road? One to check out in your book journey. It's an amazing book about a family in the 40s, 12 children and 10 boys and 2 girls. I think I've talked about it on here even before. And 6 of the boys developed schizophrenia at around age 15.
You know what? I think I have that in my to-read list, actually.
One of the most interesting books I've ever read.
Okay.
Very captivating. I think I got it from my sister.
I'm almost positive I have that on
Very
my
cool.
to-read list.
And it was all about the push and pull back then of why does schizophrenia happen? Is it culture? Is it biology?
Right.
And it's all about this study. It's the first time that a family was studied to that level. And it was a really cool book.
Interesting.
So, yeah, worth the read. Books like that are great. Real quick back to the races. I want to pivot back to that because I always see online you're knocking down medal after medal. You're always racing all the time.
I have a race problem. I really do.
Cool. So you like to, some people
I
like
love
to train,
racing.
Some like to race, some like both. You
I like
the
both.
race environment?
I love racing. I love being around people who do the same things I do.
Definitely. It's great.
I feel such a sense of camaraderie when I race.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm not really a people person, so I like to be able to hang out with people when we're doing something like running or, triathlon or whatever. So it's just a very comfortable environment for me.
You probably don't have the total number of races you've done.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know that I signed up for 41 this year.
41 races.
I've done 35 of them, I think, this year already. Yeah, so I have 41 altogether.
Yeah. So just briefly of recovery. I mean, that's got to be part of your plan the multi-sport helps. Like you said, you can go for a swim, get a great swim, and it eases your legs from the run. But do you do anything else from Chiro, massages, heat, cold.
I'm a huge proponent of heat therapy.
Okay.
I do not like to do cold therapy.
Okay.
To me, it just kind of slows down the healing process. So I like to do hot Epsom salts baths.
Okay.
Anytime I do anything over double digits, a double digit run, I'll soak in the tub.
Okay.
With some Epsom salts after every double digit
Yeah.
run.
That's good. Yeah, that's real good. Because the body takes a toll when you're doing that many
Yeah.
races. You know, 40 races this year. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Most people do 2 or 3. But I always see your grind another race.
Yeah.
This is out there. She did this massive
Yeah.
this.
I love racing. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's such a great experience. And I like going out and seeing different places too. So
Yeah,
destination races are a lot of fun.
absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's great. I think you embody a lot of exactly what I would want people to hear. And I want people to learn and maybe be willing to make a change to do things. You're a perfect example of pivoting in life when you weren't feeling that great and setting off on a new path, and you meet positive people and positive things and positive goals. Positivity is such a huge part of all of it. When I went to that first race and I told my mom, as a former cyclist, and I told her, I said, Mom, everyone was happy,
Yeah.
and cheering and positive, and that makes you feel good. I'm no
It does.
scientist to know what that does to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're around that, it brings you up to a different level,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And I think that's what, not saying anyone has to race or do anything like that, but I think it's more of just the people that are in that space. I personally really know have added value in my life and made me a better dad, a better person, a better friend. And I think that's, like we said, circling all the way back, we're missing some of that. I think,
So too.
you know, we don't live in a community that has that on the forefront. And I'd love to see people take a little piece of that and try to do something. And it's funny that almost everybody that I've talked to that have got into this space have a similar path of, I was here, I didn't really like it, and I wanted to change and go to here. And I'm the same way. My journey is the same way. And I think that speaks volumes to when you're feeling low, when you're feeling down, for whatever it may be. There's a release out there that's all on you. You don't need anything. You don't need anybody else. There's value in having people along the way, but something pretty sweet about strapping on running shoes and being able to do that.
Yeah.
And it changes a lot about your mind and body. So hopefully some people can learn from you and what you've done, because like I said, when you walked in here, it's badass what you do. I think it's really cool. I had no idea you did 4 100-mile races. I think that's just great. I can't wait to watch your journey more and see what you do. And hopefully people that listen, you know, can align with you and say, you know, I'm a lot like Rose, and I think I can do that. So,
I'd like to tell people, if I can do it, you can do it too.
definitely.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's really, you just have to put the time in. And I know many people say, oh, I don't have the time to do that. I don't have time. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do.
Yeah. We talk about time, and there's always time.
There's always time.
Yeah.
And just cut television out of your life. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
There you go.
Yeah.
That now you've got a few hours, you
Yeah.
know?
And I look at it as part of my work day. It's part of my requirement.
Mhm.
I have to go to work every day, and I have to get this in every day. And I just kind of lump it in, and then you're on a good path. You make it, you know, no excuses. I said with the last person we talked to that I stopped negotiating with myself. I stopped convincing myself that it's not going to happen, and just do it. And yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having
we
me.
can wrap things up, and like I said, really impressed what you do. I think it's awesome. Keep doing it. You motivate people and you don't even know it. I guarantee it. You've motivated me. So I think it's a wonderful story, and I was really glad to talk to you and learn more.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Alpha Endurance. Be authentic, be accountable, be disciplined.